All right, there I go. Thank you. It's a joint meeting we have, and we look forward to always meeting with our friends from the city of Longboat and going through joint issues that we have. So what I do is that as we begin every meeting here in Manatee County, we begin by saying our praying to God and our Pledge of Allegiance. So today we have Chaplain Jeff Holton from Anchor House Mission, which will be saying the prayer, and then we have Marine Corps veteran, combat veteran, Commissioner Jason Bearden will say the pledge. So if we all could rise. Thank you. You didn't show up. Wonderful. Yeah, you can do both.
Father, thank you so much today, giving us this beautiful day and just bringing us all together, Lord, to do things that the way that you would have them done, Lord, with excellence. So we just thank you for that, Lord, and we just give you glory and honor for all things that are so good. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Bearden. Before we get started, I would like to basically go around the room. A lot of us already know each other, but some introductions are always good, so we know who we're chatting with all day. So what I'll do is I'll start. I'm County Commissioner Mike Ron, District 4, and current chair of the Board of County Commissioners. Mr. Mayor?
Ken Schneier, Mayor of Longboat Key. I'm the District 3 Commissioner on Longboat.
Mike Haycock, I'm Vice Mayor of Longboat Key and at-large Commissioner.
George Cruz, District 7. I am also an at-large Commissioner.
Amanda Ballard, District 2, Commissioner for Manatee County.
BJ, there you go. Thank you, BJ.
There we go. Let's do that again. BJ Bishop, Longboat Key, at-large Commissioner.
Yeah, Charlie Bishop, County Administrator, Manatee County.
Howard Tipton, Town Manager, Longboat Key.
Andy Butterfield, Chief of Staff, Manatee County.
Sarah Karen, District 5 Commissioner, Longboat Key.
Jason Bearden, Manatee County Commissioner, at large.
Deborah Williams, Longboat Key Commissioner, District 4.
Ray Turner, Manatee County District Commissioner, 5.
Gary Coffin, Commissioner, District 1, Longboat Key.
And Kevin Van Ostenbridge, District 3 Commissioner for Manatee County. District 3, of course, includes Longboat Key.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. And again, it's a pleasure to always meet with our friends from the city of Longboat. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we'd like to start off with is we have our agenda today, and County Administrator, are you running this forward?
Well, if you like, but just first of all, I'd like to recognize Howard and our relationship we have with Longboat Key. It's very strong. We talk quite frequently. Actually, Howard put the majority of this agenda item together, and I appreciate that. We do have staff in the room for updates, especially when we get to Whitney Plaza. We're really happy with the progress we're making there. But with that said, I'll turn it over to Howard.
Thank you, Charlie. And again, good afternoon, everybody. If we don't say it right up front, thank you. And if we don't say it throughout today, we want to say thank you to Manatee County. You have been, as Charlie indicated, a great partner, and we're excited about the future. So we're going to begin with the Broadway roundabout update. This is the intersection of Broadway and GMD on the north end of the island, and Isaac Brownman, who is our Public Works Director, is going to give you an update. We talked about this in our fall meeting, and this is just to kind of bring you up to speed on where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Tipton, Mr. Bishop, Commissioners. Again, my name is Isaac Brownman. I'm the Public Works Director for the town of Longboat Key. Just to give you a quick update on the Broadway roundabout redesign effort, and my button's not working. Should I be pointing it in a certain direction? See if I can move this.
It's not doing it now. It was working.
Mr. Chair, if I may, while we're waiting, just to give some background, in 2020, when Commissioner Cruz and I were first elected, so one of the hot topics was that Longboat Key was looking to annex into Sarasota County. And as the district commissioner, I jumped right in, started building relationships, mending fences. They've had turnover in their leadership over the last few years, as have we. And just sort of giving the background for this meeting, the town, I think rightly so, felt like they were contributing substantially to the tax rolls and essentially not receiving services at all, and at times not being recognized. And I felt that was, after we looked into it, we felt that was a fair analysis. And so we've been trying to change that, and one of the things that we did was we said, well, annually, we're going to start sitting down with the commission and with the town, talk about challenges and opportunities that surround the town of Longboat Key. So I just wanted to reiterate why these meetings take place, and that also, I think the relationship, I think we all agree that the relationship has improved probably 100-fold from where it was at one point. And so we've been great partners and great friends and allies with the town of Longboat Key.
And just to respond to that, 100% agree. And I think, you know, we have had quite a turnaround from the perspective of Longboat, and we've seen it from Manatee to become friends and cooperators. I give Kevin a lot of credit in his role as chairman of the commission and also as our representative in the Manatee Commission for making all this happen. So we talk frequently about matters of common interest, and it's borne a lot of fruit for both of us, I think. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're all set now. All right, so a little bit of background. The town has been interested in developing a roundabout at the intersection of Gulf of Mexico Drive and Broadway Street for some time. We hired Kimley Horn and Associates to perform a design originally, and the whole idea was to place a roundabout within the existing conditions, so not really touching too much the existing roadway corridor approaches on either side, and definitely not affecting the drainage on the west side, just fitting the roundabout in as best as possible to slow traffic down, allow for much better pedestrian connectivity to our most popular beach access, and of course the aesthetic that comes with that. As we were entering our FDOT permit review, as you all know, State Road 789 is a state road. It's what we call Gulf of Mexico Drive in the town of Longboat Key. As part of their 90% review, FDOT did deny any further consideration of maintaining the super elevation that's existing in that corridor. Unfortunately, it was late in the process to find that out, but that decision was made by FDOT, and that resulted in a decision by the town to pursue a redesign. There was no ability to proceed with the design we had, as FDOT indicated they would not sign a permit for that design. So we did embark on a redesign. We re-engaged with Kimley Horn on October 26th of last year. It's about a $158,000 redesign that Kimley Horn did actually provide a discount for them not picking up on it a little bit earlier, but at the end of the day, we were very disappointed that this came up at a 90% review. So due to the requirement to eliminate super elevation on the entire corridor, that extends the project basically 900 feet in each direction and eliminates any super elevation banking, which results in a significant amount of drainage improvements on the west side, which we were not anticipating. And that greatly expanded the scope, including having to raise the road, because when you remove super elevation banking from a roadway, you're actually lowering the profile of the roadway. So obviously on an island, our goal is not to lower our roads, it's to actually make them a little more resilient. So on top of removing the super elevation, we needed to build it up. So because of all that effort that we need to do to accommodate the FDOT requirements, as it's a state road, the town made a decision, well, since we're doing all that, let's go ahead and include a lot of our complete streets vision into this new roadway design that we're now having to design 900 feet in each direction. And those sorts of things include a much wider trail on the east side, a 12-foot wide trail on the east side, 7-foot wide buffered bike lanes, plus the associated landscaping and medians and such that would come with a roundabout anyway. So all that entails what the town is engaging in right now as our redesign effort. In about a week and a half, we'll be submitting our revised plans to FDOT, and we're really hopeful for a much more favorable outcome because they've explained that it will be, provided we do these things. As I mentioned, the complete streets elements include the elements I mentioned, the 7-foot wide buffered bike lanes, a 12-foot wide multi-use trail, the landscaping, and of course, a little bit of elevation to the roadway to make it a little more resilient. So because of all that, this adds significant drainage and structural work to create a normal crown of the roadway and incorporate the town's complete streets elements. And these are the town's elements. The state didn't tell us we had to do these other elements. Since we're touching all this much of the roadway, we decided to see if we can incorporate these other portions. There is going to be a higher construction cost. The cost opinion is to be determined. We didn't want to go out of our way to start generating detailed estimates until DOT gave us the next round of comments, and hopefully there's not many of those. The current commitment that FDOT has made towards construction is $1.685 million, which was a direct result of a deal between the state DOT and Manatee County for a land deal. So we thank you very much for working that effort to have DOT earmark that almost $1.7 million towards our project. We just know that it's probably going to be more than that. Where we are with next steps we're going to complete discussions with the nearby property owners advising of the new design elements. The new design elements do have other impacts that weren't contemplated with the first design. We have spoke to most of those residents. We have some follow-up meetings with the residents on the west side who are now going to have construction activity and some drainage activity on the west side that wasn't going to be there before. There is going to be additional elevation that we will work with the adjacent businesses on their driveways. And because of the resiliency piece to raise it, there will be some retaining walls and handrails along the northeast portion of the corridor. And then we will begin our renewed discussions with FDOT and SwiftMud. And once we have those comments, we will proceed to a 90% design and develop an opinion of cost at that point. And again, as Tip mentioned earlier, just want to say thank you. Manatee County directly helped fund the original design, a lot of which we were able to use. We had data collection, survey, initial design elements that we were able to use with this design, and that commitment was up to $150,000. Again, as I mentioned before, we appreciate Manatee County working with FDOT to earmark that $1.685 million to this project and into the FDOT work program, which we do have. We do appreciate Manatee County's willingness to administer the construction project as a local agency program. To use that particular funding bucket from FDOT, a LAP certified entity has to administer the construction. The town is not LAP certified. In talking to your staff, there is some agreement to be able to take that on, so we appreciate that. And of course, any additional funding that Manatee County may be willing to contribute, obviously the town would appreciate that as well. And that's all I have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the commissioners or regarding the roundabout, the redesign and?
I missed, do we have a start date and an estimated timeline for construction?
Yes, so the start date, so we're going to be wrapping up design towards the fall or winter of this year. Pending funding, we would start in early 2025, and we're estimating about a 9 to 12 month construction timeframe. The construction is going to be very difficult because of the maintenance of traffic involved to lower the elevation of the simultaneously lower and raise the roadway. We only do a piece at a time. So 9 to 12 months, early 2025, early to spring 2025 to start.
Are you taking into consideration the impacts on traffic that certain stages of construction will have into your timing?
Yes, and we've directed our engineer to do everything possible to maintain traffic in both directions at all times. There may be some critical tie-ins that would have to happen in the middle of the night where we'd be down to a single lane closure and to avoid season at all costs during that time.
Yeah, we've learned the night road work brings you a whole new set of challenges with residents.
Yes.
It's almost better to just bite the bullet, and labor is difficult, honestly, at night as well. So
there's a cost to it as well.
We wish you luck and support you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cruz.
Is there any future contemplation of extending that complete street, the protected multi-trail, so forth, further down Longboat Key, potentially all the way down Longboat Key at some time in the future? Is that contemplated?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So the complete streets elements I was referencing are part of a broader complete street plan that the town commission accepted for the full 10 miles of Longboat Key. So imagine that cross section along the full 10 miles. It'll take a while. We are working with the MPO and FDOT on that, but yes, that is the intention.
Yeah, I'm trying to build a trail myself, and we haven't put a shovel in yet, so I know it takes
Yes.
some time, but
Yes, sir.
I used to bike up and down that, and I know, like, Representative Buchanan biked up and down it, and Representative Robinson of the state, and it can get a little sketchy out
Yes,
there at
sir.
times, so that's
Yes.
gonna be awesome, and we're working on getting our trail out to AMI eventually, once that way down the road, so that'll be pretty critical to connect us back to Legacy, so that's
Absolutely.
great to see. That looks awesome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Mayor.
It's in the 10-year MPO work plan, but not in the 5-year, and we don't have any funding yet, unfortunately. We have a really nice design. Yeah, right. But the roundabout is in the 5-year funding, and that's all been approved.
Yes.
Except for the dollars.
When is, I know several of us in here sit on the MPO, but the bridge at Coquina Bridge that kind of goes over, and they're gonna wanna make this giant humpback bridge. Do they have any idea if they got with you guys about when they think they're gonna start that? Will that have any impact on between the roundabout and the bridge, and how the bridge is going to come into that part of Longboat?
So to answer several of those questions, the FDOT is in the PD&E phase right now, the study phase. They want to start design in the 2027 timeframe, but they won't start, construction is not funded till the 2030s. So because they're in the PD&E phase, they're looking at 3 alternatives. 4 really, which is the no build, but let's not count that one. A fixed bridge which would be a high fixed bridge, no openings, and then 2 lower opening bridges. The channel is much further north than Longboat Key, so the highest part of the bridge will actually be closer to the Manatee County side, the Bradenton Beach side. So the landing areas on the Longboat Key side are very similar in all 3 scenarios.
Okay.
So shouldn't affect the roundabout project.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll move on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Whitney Plaza Learning Center, and I believe we have staff in here for that.
We have Carrie Knight,
Mr.
Director of
Administrator?
Property Management.
Perfect. It actually worked exactly how she said it was going to. So delightfully surprised by that. First of all, my name is Carrie Knight. I'm the Director of Property Management, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to both commissions today. The North Learning Center, obviously you can see from the first 7 bullet points, we started in January, and between that and now, quite a bit has been accomplished. I'm not going to bore you with all the bullet points. You all have copies of those. Really where we're at right now is if we've just received the structural plans, so now we have 100% of the construction documents. Our construction manager at risk is in the process of going to all of the subs within each division of construction. They're going to get all of those proposals back. They open those up at the same time, and then they will develop the GMP from that. So within a couple weeks, we'll have very firm pricing, but we have no indication at this point that we should deviate from what our original anticipated budget is. There are some structural issues that came up, but they're more minor structural issues than really anything. So what to expect coming up in the future is we should have that GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, back by the 2nd week in May. And then we will have that on the June 11th or sooner BOCC agenda. Obviously, you can see how well our project manager, Simona Brinkman, and her manager, John Ibe, have been pushing on this project, how much they've accomplished in a little over 3 months. So we put June 11th. We will be pushing for the late May date if we can make it. But that puts a lot of burden on our construction manager at risk to be able to get all of the things that they need from all the subs as far as bonding and insurances, and make sure that they can manage contractually. So as soon as it's approved on the commission meeting, then that gives the CMAR the ability to execute those contracts with all their subs, build their team, and we expect them to mobilize in July. And we would expect folks to be using and moving into that facility in mid-second quarter of next year. So I will go on to the next slide. This gives you an idea of some of the interior. The upper left-hand corner is your main lobby and entrance, a little lounge area. From the direction of where that picture is taken, so inside the main entrance and immediately to the right is the multi-purpose room. And that multi-purpose room, you'll notice, has a little kitchenette and then a partition wall. So there's actually 2 rooms within that area. And then down here on the other side is more of an art center, also has a kitchenette. That's directly across the hall. And then down the hall from the art center, down the main hallway there, as you'd walk through, you would come into a computer lab library area. And that one as well has a partition between that, and that can be joined with an adjacent room as well. So it seems like that the school board and the committee that have reviewed and put together the plans have done a very good job of not only turning them around really quickly, allowing the project to move as fast as it has, but also have created very flexible spaces so that the facility can expand and change as the needs of the community change over time. So, and then the last slide is kind of hard to see, but you all have copies. And that's just kind of a general floor plan of the final approved design. So that is a very quick and short summary of Whitney Plaza. Any questions?
Real quick, sorry, ma'am. This facility, it'll have multi-purpose use, correct? So it'll be, people can come in there and hold, is it big enough to hold like wedding receptions and things like that, or no?
Some of the multi-purpose rooms, you could have smaller wedding receptions. I don't think you could fit 100 or so people in those. But you could have definitely you could have smaller assemblies in there of whatever you need.
Okay. Ma'am?
Yes, as the project moves along, can you please share the budget and the timelines with our town manager so that we can be apprised of what's going on
100%.
in terms of the schedule and the budget?
We should have very detailed numbers as soon as those subcontractor bids are opened by the manager at risk. As we start anytime we start a project, it's based on square footage and a rough order of magnitude. And then once you have the construction documents, it gives them the physical ability to actually bid exactly what they're going to be doing. So we'll have extremely firm numbers for you in about 2 weeks.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the update. We've been curious about it. One, I wanted to make sure some of those walls were movable that were going to be in there. I know we had talked about that when the committee all met at the facility. The other question I had has to do with the IT and electric. I know there was some discussion about having the ability of computer training in there, and wanted to be sure there was some electric in the floors and the walls. And then the other thing that came up was shelving for the art area, for art supplies, and also for artwork that might be drying or whatever, just
Definitely.
in process. Yeah.
Okay. This picture of this room right here is room 123, which is a multi-purpose room. And it's kind of hard to see from the picture, but that whole wall to the side there is a complete divider and opens up to another room that's exactly the same size.
Oh, that's great.
And that's room 124. And the same thing with this room down here, which is your computer lab. That has all of your electric and the ability for all the computers. And then this whole wall here is another completely dividable, just like this room, where you can divide it into 2. Right by that computer monitor, there's actually partitions that would change this. So it actually opens up into 2 rooms. So the computer library is room 118, and then that opens up to 117, which is a multi-use room as well. So
Great.
you do have that flexibility of space. So you can have, different groups in each room, or you can have larger groups together themselves.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. When you brought up gatherings, it made me remember that our North End residents are hoping to do some homeowner association meetings. And they're wondering, since those are kind of social meetings, will it be possible for them to have wine and beer at meetings like that? Or you mentioned wedding receptions. Just wondering if there are any
As long as
county
they
rules
share.
about that. Share with your neighbor.
We, thank you for that question. We are in conversation with the school board, who's going to be really programming the space and trying to work with them on those accommodations. So don't have an answer for you yet, but working with the school board on it.
Great, thanks.
The space that's not currently being used now, it says not in contract. Is there an opportunity there to expand this space at a later point, or what's in there now, or?
That I'm unfamiliar with, but we can definitely look into that.
I can share, Mr. Chair, that there is a space that's kind of interior to the space that's being renovated currently, and if it were to come on the market, it could be an option to add to the community center.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is that it?
Anything
Any
else?
other questions?
Mr. Chair, I would just
Yes.
like to add, again, thank you for moving so quickly. This was started with a conversation with then Chair Van Ostenbridge. Mr. Bishop and his team have really pushed this forward at amazing speed for an idea, and we are excited about it. And I also just want to compliment the county in working with the school board. Dr. Gonzimer, Paul Gonzimer from Manatee Technical College has been perfect to work with, and I think is working very well with the county staff as well. So it's just been a really strong team, and we appreciate the effort.
Thank you, sir. Is that it?
That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next up, I believe we have Elliot, expansion of the Gulf Island Ferry Service, water taxi to Broadway Street. Yes, there he comes.
Thank you, Gary.
Well, gotta be ready, Elliot. Fast room.
Next on the list.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have no PowerPoint. I'm just going to do the talking. It's great to see everybody. Chad Butso and Kevin Hoyt and his team are some of the biggest supporters for us related to the water ferry operation. So I guess I'm the brand. They're the genius, and they've been really doing a great job for us. So this water ferry started January 12th. And it's currently running every Wednesday through Sunday, and we're going to try to maintain Wednesday through Sundays through the month of May. And right now we're transporting about 300 to 350 passengers a day when we're running. So we're real happy about that. Think about it, folks. That's about 175, 180 cars off the road. Since we started, we've served about 9,000 passengers since January the 12th. It kind of gets worse, or 4,500 cars off the road. The challenge that we face is we've lost 25 days due to the weather. Okay, so we're running those two pontoon catamarans. I'll say this sincerely, it was the right first two vessels to buy because they were $450,000 a piece. So we didn't know what we were going to get when we started it, right? We had a passionate board that lived up to their word to work like hell to enhance multimodal transportation from the mainland to the islands. And that was a good first step, okay? But when you lose 25 days, you lost about the ability to carry 8,000 passengers. Okay, so just keep adding them up. Or we lost the ability to take off about 3,500 cars off the road. So it's amazing. But with that, the TDC, led by Commissioner Turner, I gave the same kind of update. And with their passion, they said, you know what, we want to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners, Elliot, carry the baton to go ahead and add a third ferry that would be enclosed. So you got currently two 49-passenger pontoon catamarans. And so the operator and Matt Case, our fleet maintenance manager, nationally acclaimed, they're speccing out an enclosed, give or take 90 passenger ferry. Okay. What would that do? Well, number one, it would minimize days suspended due to wind, chop, currents, rain. And what it would do is it would run from the mainland to the island, and then we would reposition those 2 pontoon catamarans and keep them out on the island for the hopper service. Okay, and we're also having some dialogue with the city of Bradenton Beach to be able to overnight those 2 pontoon catamarans and then maintain them out there as well. So we hope to develop the specs in the month of May. It'll be vetted out. We actually have boat builders coming in to our community to experience the river and the bay, make sure we get it right the first time. And then I hopefully will bring this item to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration. The frustrating thing is, a lot of us are impatient. It's going to take about a year to build it, okay? But we got to start somewhere. So we're going to check those boxes and keep going along. How do we build out the routes? So as many of you know, we're going from the city of Bradenton Daydock, venturing out on a 35-minute commute to the city pier on Anna Maria Island. Imagine you get off the boat, you walk off the pier, and you're right on Pine Avenue. Main Street, Anna Maria Island, 100 years ago. And then a little bit beyond that is the beautiful sugar white sand beaches and all the food and beverage and shops in between. It's pretty cool. And then it'll venture down to, currently it's venturing down to historic Bridge Street. Same thing. Get off the boat, got all those shops on Bridge Street, and just beyond that is the beautiful sugar white sand beaches. Once again, getting people out of their cars and utilizing that beautiful asset called the Manatee River. We have Charlie Hunsaker working with us to add South Coquina Beach boat ramp. And really, it's just an extension, an addition to the current pier. Think about it, a lot of the residents in Manatee County utilize Coquina as their beach of preference. So that'll get them more enthusiastic about jumping on the ferry and heading down to Coquina Beach. Managing expectations that I really haven't done a good job. I think our objective is to have that added before the end of the calendar year, because there may be some permits. We don't know if there's seagrass in there or not. So that's why we've asked Charlie H. for some help. Moving concurrent with that, had a nice talk with the city of Palmetto at a workshop, and on the west side of the convention center. And if you haven't driven by the convention center, and that's in the commissioner's district, Amanda Ballard, $150 million, this is my commercial, $150 million capital improvement project in Palmetto. That'll include a 110,000 square foot convention center with a 252 Marriott Resort and Spa, hot off the press. It's the second resort and spa on the west coast of Florida, being the other one, Sanibel Island. $150 million at no cost to the residents, because we're using private sector dollars and tourism tax proceeds. It doesn't get any better than that. So with that, we got to bring the water ferry to the convention center. So the Palmetto Estuary Park is on that west side of 30141. And once again, Charlie Hunsaker and his team are working on figuring out a way. We're going to have to build a little pier to bring that ferry over. And imagine you're going to, let's call it the Bar Association convention, and Chris is at the convention and his family's there as well. And they say, honey, enjoy the convention. We're taking a day trip to Anna Maria Island. And the Marriott just jitneys them right down to the ferry. Separates us from the competition, because you can't find too many destinations that'll offer that as well. We have research data that does all of our third-party research since 2009. We just looked at the questions that we'll be asking visitors and residents on Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July, and Labor Day. It's imperative that we continue to get into the minds of the consumers through this growth process. Running concurrent with that, I think it's a partnership with the Observer. We'll be surveying a lot of the mainland East County residents as well as probably the Longboat Key to get into their minds get it right. And the more we can listen, the more we can stay fluid, the better chance of this ferry continuing to grow. With that, little research. 40% of the ridership do not live in the state of Florida. Majority of the 40% are Midwesterners. So no surprise, we kind of figured that. Those Northeasterners, the Bostonians, the New Yorkers, the Jerseys, they kind of like to get in their cars and go from point A to point B in a kind of a climate like this. We gotta rework their mind there a little bit. 60% obviously are living in the state of Florida. 40% are Manatee County ticket purchasers. Doesn't necessarily mean they're only Manatee County residents. You may have Uncle John and Aunt Sally in town staying at your house, and you want to take them out to the island, and you say, gosh, we're going to take you on the water ferry. When I got in front of you months ago, we said that we need at least 30% of the ridership to be locals. So we're at 40%, so we're happy with that. A few other tidbits, and then we'll get into Longboat Key. GulfIslandFerry.com is a way to immerse yourself into this system. You can buy tickets there. Thank you, MCAT, led by Kevin Hoyt, Chad. My Stop Manatee. It's an app that you download into your smartphone, and when you're having a beverage, say at Pier 22, you can pull it up and see where the water ferry is at any given time, instead of standing out in the pier and just wondering when it's coming. So My Stop Manatee, just go on your app, and that's ready to rock and roll. And then when you buy a ticket, you'll be alerted of a Ferry Perks Pass. So we've pulled in our hospitality partners to say if you ride the Gulf Islands Ferry, you can get a discount at the Bishop Museum for you and your family, et cetera, et cetera. There's even restaurant discounts as well. As I promised months and months ago, and I've told you all, we've had informal discussions with the city of Sarasota, with Sarasota County, and I promised them that after we get our elected officials in Manatee County a familiarization tour, we would extend it to our friends of the South. So May 13th at 10 a.m. at the Day Dock, we have invited elected officials from the city of Sarasota and Sarasota County. Mr. Mayor, we can extend that to your elected officials. If you weren't able to partake when we took our Manatee County commissioners and our local mayors as well, we'll have some coffee and some beverages. We'll go out to the pier on Anna Maria and come back. So it'll be a round trip of 1 hour. We are going to start a volunteer program. We'll call it a docent program. And I think my good friend Janine Amick is going to help us start it because she has volunteers there at the theater with the ferry being in her backyard. So how cool would it be if you have volunteers on the ferries telling all the history, the stories, going out that beautiful river, little tidbits saying, hey, don't forget, there's a farmer's market on Coquina Beach this day, that day. So we think that that is invaluable. And then finally, Longboat Key with Howard. Thank you, Howard. Love the relationship with you. We've had some discussions even in this room of how do we, should we, will we, when we, how will we get the ferry to Longboat Key? We probably about a month ago, we earmarked the possibility of the town pier near Mar Vista and Shore. Running concurrent, Howard was kind of doing a little due diligence, a little survey of the residents in that geographic area. And Chris's office is working on a revised interlocal agreement. We dusted off what we use for the other municipalities. And I'll just say that we're talking, we're not there yet. We want what you want, okay? The force feeding days, it's not in my bloodlines. All I'll say is there's probably not many options. Unfortunately, when you head south of town of Longboat Key, and cut me off when I go off the road, but south of that, there's not many options. We looked at the plaza where we just did that update on that education center, and behind that plaza, the Whitney Plaza, it's like 6 inches of water probably if we went out there right now. So that would be a long road to hoe. And then even getting in the Sarasota County, there's limited options there. We've talked about City Island, you know, going to Moat Marine. Is that another option? So all I would say is, you know, you have an exclusive key. Is it important to your tourism director for Manatee County? Well, absolutely. But I believe that you're going to have more visitors come from the Key up to Anna Maria Island than the other way around. Because quite candidly, if I'm staying on Anna Maria Island or downtown Bradenton, being real candid, and I go to Longboat Key, I'm probably going there to have dinner at Shore or Mar Vista, and I'm probably not doing much else because I'm not sleeping there, okay? You continue to go down the Key from a visitor on Anna Maria Island or the mainland in Bradenton, there's not much else to do. It's an exclusive key. But if there's Longboat Key residents or visitors, they'll probably board that ferry to go and enjoy the amenities on Anna Maria Island or downtown Bradenton. So I think that's how we need to educate your residents, and I'll help that if you want me to help that as well. Let's not miss a step. We want to maintain balance. We've talked about workforce expresses. Once again, I didn't manage expectations very good because of how many days have been suspended. Think if you're an employee and you're saying, it looks pretty windy out there. I'm wondering if the ferry's going to run or not. Okay, that enclosed third ferry will help mitigate that. And I think that's the trigger for the express. And we all know that we want to get the workforce out of their cars and onto that water as much as we can. So I think, Howard, you and I will know when it's right or if it's never right. But I want to stand here and manage expectations. This Board of County Commissioners have put sweat equity into this, have put equity into it. The residents have not paid a nickel for this, and it doesn't get any better than that. And all the credit goes to Chad and his team and my team, and then all the screw-ups come to me. That's how I manage. That's how I try to lead, and I'm now open for any questions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
So, Elliot, first of all, congratulations on a successful project. I know you've lived and breathed this for a number of years, and it must be very gratifying to you, for you to see this work out so well so far and with the expandability you've discussed. And by the way, anything that can help the traffic congestion on the islands is welcome to us and due considerable consideration. I want to ask you a question. I know it's early days, and I don't know whether you've collected much data on this, but if you look at your embarkation points, do you have any data yet on the effect of the ferry operations on parking in those areas, either side, and also the need for transit on either side, getting to them? And particularly when people are coming out to Anna Maria Island, do you find that many of them need a vehicle, whether it's one of these scooter rentals or something else, to get where they're going, or they're mainly walking when they get there?
Thank you, Mayor. It's a great question. We need parking on the mainland. We really don't want parking on the islands. So we're going to kind of influence our visitors on the islands to say, hey, you know what? We have a free trolley. We have a free MCAT. You have golf carts. You have scooters. Be like a European and walk a little bit, right? And it's worked well in the city of Anna Maria. Mayor Murphy would acknowledge that. Mayor Chappie would say, hey, come on, does the city of Bradenton Beach have much parking? You know what? And it works really, really well. The blessing is downtown Bradenton with that parking garage. And I know Charlie's getting ready to build another parking garage in downtown Bradenton as well. We'll have parking in Palmetto. But yeah, we will educate people on why they can't use their car to get onto the ferry from the islands. It is paramount to our objective of enhancing multimodal transportation out that way from the mainland to the islands. So we're real excited about that. And, you know, since January, it's worked out well. We've had no complaints. And, you know, social media is more bad than good. It's a public relations nightmare. And you'll get a little negative here and there. But overall, I have to tell you this. I interviewed Friday. And if you see me on TV, y'all live a lonely life and a boring life. But I told the one journalist out of Tampa, I said, it's amazing. And kudos to the media. They've been our biggest marketing arm. But I told the guy, I said, we can bring the Super Bowl to Bradenton, and you'd rather report on the water ferry. It's amazing. You know, it's the honest to God truth. But I probably had 30 individuals on the ferry as soon as I interviewed. And they were probably all in the boomer age group. But the body language and the enthusiasm was, you talk about fulfilling, that was it. They're excited. And I walked away saying, we can never be satisfied moving forward. We always have to work to make it better, because with better becomes more growth and success.
Yes, sir. Hey, Elliot, real quick, I love the idea of workforce being able to use the water taxis. If you go down to the islands, like in Tortola or any of those places, the majority of their workforce is getting from island to island on a water taxi. With that said, the new one you want to have built, I mean, is it going to be, it's not going to be the same type of pontoon that there is now. It'll be an elevated cat with enclosed, maybe 2-story or anything like that. Probably a little bit faster than the boats are today to jet around.
Yeah,
so your vision would be, it's putting, like the St. Regis is going to employ a lot of folks. So your idea would be to see those folks be able to get on that, jet down to Broadway Street and be able to get off there and have a shuttle from the St. Regis pick their folks up. Is that kind of what you're envisioning for the future?
Yeah, the experts, you know, I'm a tourism manager who's a city guy, but the experts in the back of the room and our operator and Matt Case, a heavier boat, a little bit faster. The heavier will withstand the currents, the wind, about 90 seats inside with heat and air conditioning. And then you got to have an outdoor seating component as well for a beautiful day. Running concurrent with that, we spent a good hour and a half with the grant writer, Michelle Davis, awesome hire. And we're looking at every grant that's out there, federal, state, that we can buy another ferry. It's probably a 2-year process. So that will definitely, Commissioner, give us the ability to move employees. And, you know, really what's going to make it work, and I've said it many times, is it's got to be free to the workforce to entice them to use it. So we'll get there, but we got to get that third ferry in operation to make it make sense.
Is 90 seats too small?
We're designing a ferry that fits in the current piers or docks, so we don't have to spend more money modifying them. So the short answer, I think it's big enough to carry us over the next probably 5 years, because we believe there's a federal grant out there that the feds will pay 90% for that fourth vessel. There'll be some strings to it, but those strings will be worth it. So that may come a year and a half after we get this third ferry in operation. And then we can look at the capacity at that point. We're kind of learning as we go a little bit, but that 90 plus will carry us the next several years.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am, BJ.
Is there the capacity to be able to handle cycles on the current ferries? And if not, will you be able to handle bicycles on the future ferries?
Yeah, the one thing that's prohibited by the Coast Guard, and I don't know the reason, is you can't put bikes on the ferries. You can put lounge chairs, picnic baskets, and all that. I haven't really dug into why the Coast Guard prohibits that. And maybe it's the design of the current ferries. Maybe that was the reason. But I will ask the question because we do believe that there should be some kind of e-bikes or bicycles that should go on there. And maybe it's the design. So we'll mark that as another question. And because I don't even think Chad knows the answer or Kevin, no, he's shaking his head no. So either they just prohibit it for whatever reason or the design of the boat prohibits it. Okay?
My husband and I are serious cyclists.
Yep.
There are parts
Okay.
of your northern islands that still have no bike trails.
Well, if it's allowable based on vessel design, you'll have some ability to put your bikes on it. Let the record show.
Commissioner Gould.
Yes, hi. I was just curious if and when we find a suitable spot on Longboat Key for a dock, what would be the necessary range, I guess, cost range? What should we be planning for in budgeting wise to build a dock?
Did you hear that, Howard? You guys are spending some money for me. Thank you. I like to have fun. Howard did a great job by putting me in front of a very nice lady, she may even be here, who writes your grants. That's where we need your sweat equity, is help us find grant dollars. This Board of County Commissioners, they're all in because we're using the tourism tax and we're using some commissions from the beach concessions on Anna Maria Island. So right now we're good. We're just looking to stretch our dollars to buy more vessels and build or enhance piers. So it shouldn't be any equity for Longboat Key, but if your grant writer can help us find grants, we have all the matching dollars we need, then we would appreciate that partnership.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Regarding Commissioner Bishop's question about bikes on ferries, there are ferries throughout this country that allow bicycles, so you probably have an issue with the type of vessel that you have. So going forward, you probably want to figure out how to accommodate bikes, because it is a really great idea. I don't think a lot of people would utilize that. And something you mentioned earlier about workforce transportation, I think that is the most important reason we would want to bring a ferry to Longboat Key. I think going the other way around, getting people off the island to go for dinner, that's really secondary. I mean, we really suffer with getting people on the island, businesses, getting employees, just trying to maintain them through season. So that is our primary goal.
Totally respect that. Once again, managing expectations. I had one city that really wanted workforce and nothing else, and I couldn't live up to that promise. But if worst case, if your community is okay with going into the town pier near Mar Vista and Shore, and we move 50 people to there and take 25 cars off the road, you know, going from Anna Maria Island back to over the pass and all that, then great. But it would be hard to just do workforce only. But, you know, we're always open-minded to it. But it's just tough to have that exclusive ferry for just that.
I'm not saying totally exclusive, but you understand that's the primary goal for, you know, for a lot of people.
Yep.
We really suffer. I mean, you try to go off the island 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon in January, it's really brutal.
Yep.
And then for employees to get on and off, it's also terrible. It's a really bad situation. So it doesn't have to be exclusive, but it has to serve both purposes.
Yeah, I call it 90 days of hell, where it's gridlock on the islands. Totally acknowledge that. That's why, you know, that's why I'm excited that we're here to take this major leap into enhancing multimodal transportation. And it's just a start. We got to keep hacking away at it and hacking away at it, and involving the 3 cities on Anna Maria Island and this town of Longboat Key in a very sincere manner. So I'm glad we're this far without the support of many, many people. Gosh, Charlie Bishop and I've been with the county for a long time. This was talked about 20 years ago. And this bold county commission said enough's enough. We're going to start it. It's not going to be a pilot program. We're in it for the long run. That's what gets our blood flowing.
Commissioner Van Ostenbridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But to Commissioner Williams, I would just say that thankfully you haven't given us the the platform that the other island city gave us, which was only for workforce. Obviously, it's public transit, so of course we couldn't do that. But I like what you're saying, and I think the key is going to be how we message this specifically to businesses. I think that's the key, is we have to message it to businesses properly. You know, obviously Ed Childs is on the TDC. He's very familiar with it. He voted for it. But he has said that, you know, essentially he runs a tab, and if his employees want to ride the ferry, it's free. And I think that's, you have to get businesses to buy in, and we're going to have to get businesses, to be honest, to pay the tab, essentially, and make it free for employees to ride the ferry. I think that's key. But it's going to take community leaders like us to reach out to the businesses and make them aware of it and deliver that message to them. Because we have the same problem in the county. I mean, our lifeguards head out to Coquina, just short of Longboat. They go out there when the same time the crowd goes out, because they're going out to right for the beach crowd. And at 4 o'clock, when the tide shifts and everybody goes the other way, our guards are leaving and they're going home. And so you have 20 guards, you know, every day who are stuck in an hour's worth of traffic trying to get to Cortez. So we have the same issue from a county standpoint.
Commissioner Ballard?
Elliot, just a quick question about the accessibility of the app and the website. How easily accessible are those from the county's website?
It's a good question. I could tell you both Casey's department and our department communicate really, really well. Okay. I would assume, bad word, that there's an easy link, but we will make a note to make sure there's easy connectivity there. I just saw the flyer in the water bill. So all unincorporated Manatee counties now, it's the one time where I said we need to have this brand in the community's face.
Absolutely.
You know,
and that's the thing. I just don't want people to get confused or give up when they go to the county website if they don't see it super easily and
yeah,
have the
absolutely.
ability to get
So
that.
it's a great question. So Commissioner, we definitely will follow up and double check that.
And Commissioner,
Commissioner Karen? Oh, sorry.
Our website's currently under design with a new vendor, so Andy's taking notes.
Thank you, Andy.
Commissioner Karen?
Thanks. Elliot, it's fun hearing your vision. I really appreciate the sense of commitment that everyone has for this project, which will clearly unfold over time. I live on the north end of Longboat Key, been there since '09, and I miss going to Anna Maria Island, but it just isn't very accessible to us lately, unless we take our boat to Galati's and have the monkey bus pick us up and take us into town. But I was really interested in what you had to say about your surveying, and you said probably Longboat Key. I really hope our Longboat Key residents will be a part of that survey, and wondering more about timing of that.
Yes, thank you. We'll make sure Observer's a great partner of ours. So I'll go back. I know we're going to blanket Lakewood Ranch. You know, Observer has the more circulation than any other publication in Sarasota County. I didn't realize that until a couple years ago. So they're big. And if we haven't, hear me now, we will make sure that your residents on the Key are part of that survey. The holiday weekends, you know, we're on the public beaches because we really want to get a handle on who's coming in for the day, where are they coming from, and then what visitors are staying overnight there. I'll give you another little tidbit. 3.8 million visitors to Manatee County in 2023. Out of that, about 1.1 million staying overnight in short-term rentals. Okay, let's scale it down more. Out of that, you got about 450,000 that are sleep overnight on Anna Maria Island a year. Okay, so when it's craze about Anna Maria Island, when you hear that, once again, to me, it's the 90 days of hell, because you spread that 450,000 over 365 days, you're looking at what the smart one, 1,250 guests a day on Anna Maria Island. So is there ebbs and flows? Well, sure there are. But when you look at it, you know, where do we need to mitigate the traffic? It's people just coming, going in for the day and going all around the community. Let's get them out of their cars onto the water, or how do we get them out of their cars into a parking spot as quick as possible? What's clogging up Gulf Drive is driving up and down looking for parking. Okay, nothing worse than that. I'm venting right now, but that's where we gotta make things simple. And to me, data really educates. So when you look at 3.8 million, the residents are saying, "Oh my God, no wonder." No, the islands break it down. who we're targeting is 1,250 people a year, overnight stays. So it kind of, I'm kind of like to dumb things down for myself. So it gives a perspective there. Longboat Key is a little bit different of an animal because you're more of an exclusive key. You're part of the mix, but a little bit different than Anna Maria Island, but they have to be integrated together.
All right, is that it? Any other questions for Elliot? Thank you, Elliot.
I didn't mean to be your longest presentation, but it's great seeing everybody. Howard, let's continue the dialogue. We're here for you. And I can promise you this, we'll give you quick answers and there will never be a string along. All right, let's manage expectations. Let's have fun. And Mr. Mayor, if you want to add some of your elected officials to that May 13th fam, we'd love to have you.
Thank you, Elliot. Great job as always.
Have a great day.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We'll make sure everyone knows about it. Thank you.
All right, the next item up to the for our discussion is North Longboat Key and Braden Beach traffic. Who is
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
This will be a town presentation. I'm going to bring Isaac back up to talk about it. And it's really about, as Elliot said, managing the expectations. People want to get out to those sugar sand beaches. They want to get out and experience that Gulf lifestyle. And for some, they spend more than half their day getting there and back, and not a lot of time at the beach. And so we're seeing an increase. The data, as Elliot said, let's be data-driven. The data is showing us that it's getting worse. And so this conversation is going to be brief, but it is about all of us coming to the table and looking at some of the solutions that are out there. So this is that invitation. So with that, Isaac.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, commissioners. As Howard mentioned, the beaches in our area are a huge asset to the quality of life and economic benefits of the community. Beautiful natural assets up and down the Key, the North Islands, Longboat Key, South Toledo, and of course St. Armands. What comes with that obviously is traffic congestion for those seasonal periods of time. Every year for a while, the town's been doing an annual citizen survey, and as you can imagine, the #1 item on that survey is traffic. How to reduce the congestion, minimize it, what can we do to improve it? As many of you know, the MPO and the FDOT conducted a Barrier Island traffic study and concluded that effort a few years back, and it had some 70+ recommendations for the communities to take part in together. We reminded the FDOT that all these roads that everybody's trying to use are their roadways, and they in turn reminded us and said, yeah, but they go through all these different communities, so until you all agree on what you want to do, we're not really going to just do this ourselves. So it's one of those interesting circle of life things with the Barrier Island traffic study. Why we're bringing this forward now is because we think it's an ideal time to have these conversations, take leadership positions, and invite the town, the county, the cities to the table to talk about what can we be done, including things like water taxis and water ferries to reduce the congestion. So what's happening right now that makes it an ideal time? We have FDOT throwing millions of dollars to upgrade Cortez Bridge. That's a huge improvement. That bridge is going to have large shoulders to accommodate flexible lanes in the future for transit lanes or whatnot, or even adding capacity. It's something that they committed to in the Barrier Island traffic study and are actually putting money towards it, and not an insignificant amount of money. They're also planning the replacement of Longboat Pass Bridge, which, depending on which option they proceed with, will also reduce the number of openings and closings, which contributes to the congestion as well. On top of that, Anna Maria Island is beginning on the beginning stages of a Gulf Drive PD&E study to do a complete streets effort up and down the whole area. This would be the perfect time to talk about, well, how do we improve not just pedestrian mobility, but efficient transportation movement of vehicles at the same time, not exclusive one to the other. The MPO is conducting a congestion management plan update. And what they found is that the Gulf Drive segment from Longboat Pass Bridge to Cortez Road is one of the most unreliable segments in the county, in the two-county region, in fact. And what they mean by unreliable segments, it's not one of the most congested segments. That was already known. It's now you can't rely on the level of congestion. Sometimes it's 4 times what you expect. Sometimes it's 2 times what you expect. Sometimes it's what you expect. So it's become one of the most unreliable segments in the two-county region. And also the MPO is talking about follow-up to the Barrier Island traffic study, conducting an implementation plan. These are all the reasons why we think it's a good time to come to the table about, okay, we're going to do things like water ferries and water taxis. How do we improve the situations on the roadway also when we have a study that has 70-plus recommendations to it? Obviously, the town's concern on the north end is from Longboat Pass Bridge to Cortez to get to the mainland. On the south end, which obviously is a different county, it's through St. Armands, through the Ringling Causeway, across 41 and Fruitville Road in those areas. The Barrier Island traffic study talked about things like flexible lanes on all future bridge replacements, and FDOT appears to be going in that direction with every bridge they're talking about replacing right now, 2 on the north end and 1 on the south. As I mentioned, the islands are getting ready to embark on a Gulf Drive PD&E study. This will be the perfect time to incorporate some of these elements, like channelizing a little bit better some of the parking areas and channelizing pedestrians a little bit better, and take a good hard look at the Bridge Street traffic circle. This would be the perfect time to look at the Gulf Drive at Cortez Road intersection. So even though the state is doing a major bridge project, they're not looking at the endpoint intersection and how to improve that at this time. They're actually deferring that. Well, this would be the perfect time to look at that as well, in conjunction with a bridge project and a complete street study when you have a key intersection that's one of the choke points in the whole mechanism. A simple improvement that we've talked about on Longboat is extending that right turn lane south. I say simple because it's a simple right turn lane, but it would take some significant property purchase. But it also takes willing partners in Bradenton Beach and FDOT to want to do those sorts of improvements. There are simpler solutions that are working, and again, we want to thank Manatee County because we believe it is a Manatee County-generated solution. The Coquina Beach parking lot is a very, very large beach parking lot with 3 access points. And the center access points, I believe, have a simple gate that can be shut that isolates each parking area from the other and keeps people who are in a long-standing queue from hopping into the southernmost access point, traveling 4/10 of a mile to hop back in the queue further north and jamming things up further. I have staff that travel that route every single day, and when the Manatee County Park staff close those gates, it is a noticeable improvement from the time when those gates are not shut by mistake or forgotten, and people are constantly turning into the park, traveling 4/10 of a mile north and jumping back in the queue. You can imagine the friction that creates in the traffic snarl already. So that simple thing, if that's done consistently throughout season from a certain time of day till another certain time of day, is actually a significant, very cost-easy improvement in our perspective. Sometimes there's more law enforcement presence out there than others. That helps too, because people are not apt to do silly things like driving down the entire shoulder or doing the things I just described. So those are some of the simpler solutions. But we just wanted to bring this to the county commission's attention that the town's going to be embarking on these discussions with Bradenton Beach, FDOT, et cetera, because of all these things happening, we'd love the county to be at the table as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. And Vice Mayor Haycock, I didn't know if you wanted to add any perspective. I know you've taken a leadership role with the MPO on this subject.
Yeah, for those of you all that are on the MPO with me, we had Dave Hutchison come out about a month ago with Ryan and went through the Barrier Island study and went through all the items that are on that. And they also talked about some things that weren't studied during that time the FDOT didn't want to bring up. And so they're going to come to the MPO with some suggestions, and one is to form a study group to resurrect those 70 items, see which ones that have been successful and which ones might be successful, but we haven't implemented yet. And so we'd be looking for you all support for that when they make that suggestion, probably in the next meeting that we're going to have.
All right, thank you.
And just one thing, just to reiterate again, and it's been brought up a couple times, but in those 90 days of hell that everybody's talking about, our biggest issue is the people on Longboat Key decide during those 90 days not to go north, not to go to Anna Marie Island for dinner like we do many other times, or to go shopping. Those are all workers that live in Manatee County that are working on Longboat Key. And so they really are people that live in Manatee County that are just trying to get, back and forth to work, and it's causing them an extra hour and a half, 2 hours to do that during this period of time. So, any help that you all can give to support some additional studies to see what else we can do would really be helpful.
All right, thank you. County administrators, anything we can do with the parking lot at Coquina to help with the suggestions that Town Manager Tipton just, and then they just talked about?
Yeah, we were just having a conversation, a sidebar. I don't know why the gates are being opened. I just texted Carmine because we made a commitment years ago to keep those gates. There's 2 gates closed, one by the Marine Rescue, one by the North Coquina boat ramp. Those gates are supposed to be closed. So why they're being opened, I don't know.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. If I could add one other thing, the other issue right now, certainly in Bradenton Beach, is from Cortez Road.
Is your microphone on, BJ?
Microphone. See, I'm used to them coming on automatically.
We don't want that. We don't want that at this kind of committee. Hot mics.
From Cortez Road through the circle to probably about a quarter of a mile south of the circle, there is no bike lane, and right now, because of all the work going on Gulf Drive, there is no safe bicycle access. So you now have bicycles having to fight it out with cars, and I'm amazed that you haven't had a few more deaths or accidents there. But again, it's an incredibly unsafe stretch of road for cyclists, and it's making it unsafe for everybody on board.
Yes, ma'am. We are fully aware of that the bike lanes are gone until the road construction is completed. So we understand it. I mean, I don't know if we can put more share the roadway or signs up or whatever, but we understand it is a hazardous condition for bicyclists on that section of road.
Yeah.
Believe me. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the traffic on Braden Beach and North Longboat? All right, we'll move on to the next item, is the Greer Island police funding.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chair and Commissioners. This item is in reference to the agreement between the town and the county for the town to provide police services on Greer Island. You have, since fiscal year 2018, been providing $60,000 a year for us to go out and maintain Greer Island, kind of keeping it from becoming Fantasy Island. And over that period of time, our police department salaries have increased just under 40%. And so we have come to Mr. Bishop and asked him for his consideration of an increase to our amount, and we are grateful for his support, and he is bringing this to you for your consideration in May. It's a $20,000 increase, so it would be $80,000 altogether that would allow us to provide additional hours out on the beach during our highest traffic times. And so we're getting a little bit ahead of your consideration, but we start by saying thank you for the $60,000 that we receive, and we are thankful for your consideration of the additional amount.
County Administrator?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you, Howard. Yeah, we have briefings on Monday to brief you about this. It's going to be on the May 14th agenda. Sheila's already prepared the budget amendment, so we'll go further detail with this Monday.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that forward. Any questions regarding the increase in police funding? No worries, okay. Island-wide transit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, the next couple are going to be us. We wanted to share, again, a thank you. When we talked about this in the fall, there was still no agreement between Manatee County and Sarasota County for a one-island transit solution. As you'll recall from our conversations, residents and workers had to actually change vehicles at Mid-Key in order to get where they were going. And I think we all agree that from a transit perspective, having one solution works. Manatee County agreed to allow Sarasota to provide that service, and it would be on a reimbursement basis based on the trips from Manatee residents. I have given you a one-page item. It's just on your desk there. It's a very brief summary of the ridership. It started on January 29th. We've seen growth each month, as you might imagine, and it has been, I think, well received by both residents and our workers. Again, workers who work at one hotel needing to get up in the south, maybe get up to the north, not having to change vehicles is a big deal. It runs from Coquina Beach all the way down to Lido. and has been very well received. So again, we just say thank you for the cooperation and partnership that allows this to go forward. And from a finance perspective, I think you're going to save money on this deal. And so I think it's going to work out well for both parties.
All right. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions regarding the island-wide transit? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, the Jewfish Key contraction or de-annexation petition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This will be the last item on the agenda, and wanted to share with you something that's a little unusual. And so the purpose of this item is just to place it on your radar. Your agenda item shows that on January 16th, the town received a voluntary petition from Jewfish Key Preservation Association. And just as a reminder, Jewfish Key is and has been part of the town of Longboat Key since 1955, when the town was incorporated. It's an island that's about 670 feet just off the north end of the village there, just to the east. So we received a request for contraction from the Jewfish Key Preservation Association. Based on newspaper reports, the Homeowners Association submitted their request to examine the town's levels of municipal service, and because the town has land use controls that are more restrictive than Manatee County's. Specifically, the town has a longstanding grandfathered-in land use regulation that restricts the duration of short-term rentals of residential properties for less than 30 days. That restriction applies throughout the town's municipal boundaries, which include, as I just mentioned, Jewfish Key. The process for municipal boundary changes through annexation are set forth in Florida statutes. The town's receipt of the petition triggered a Florida statute process that we are undertaking. It's a feasibility study that we've got to do, and we've got to do it within 6 months. Right now, the anticipated schedule for the presentation of the completed feasibility study to the Town Commission will occur at a public meeting on June 3rd of this year. Under the statutory process, after considering the feasibility study, the Town Commission may either reject the petition for contraction or may initiate the steps to direct that the contraction ordinance be brought forward as set forth in the statutes. So there is no role for Manatee County to play in this. There is no vote that you need to take. We are clearly just trying to put it on your radar in case the Town Commission were to say, move forward with the contraction. There's a possibility that you may have a very unusual enclave for county services within the town of Longboat Key. And so I just share that with you as a heads up, and more information to follow.
Commissioner Van Ostenbridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Tipton, I was a little surprised by the name, the Jewfish Key Preservation Association. What do we have any indication as to what it is that they're trying to preserve? And I'm sort of asking in jest because I feel like it's perhaps a disingenuous name that's misleading.
I'm unable to answer that question, sir. We have had no other real communications with them outside of the petition.
What's the timeline for it coming before your council or your commission?
It will be brought forward at our June 3rd meeting. It will begin at 1 o'clock, and that's when the analysis will be presented to the commission, and they will begin their deliberation.
I have had some talks with staff. It does present unique challenges. I spoke with West Manatee Fire as well. It has slowly built up, the island has slowly built up over time, while it was inside the city limits, or the town limits, but there's no fire hydrant. There are a lot of challenges that it poses. I don't know what the Preservation Association's intentions are with the island, if they're planning to keep it single-family homes, if they're hoping to sort of form a JV and everybody gets together to create one parcel ID and turn it into an amusement park. You laugh, but if you own an island, and then we do run into serious concerns about, so you all understand sort of where we are. We're very pro property rights, and I would love to see Jewfish Key, the association, live up to its name and preserve Jewfish Key. But we are pro property rights, and if you ultimately have your own island, I don't know what else you can ask of someone to be able to do what they want with their land than to literally have your own island. the county's not an HOA. I just want you all to, as you're making your decisions, to understand that we don't run an HOA, and our land use restrictions are not as strict as yours. So if you have concerns about what the island will become, you should be concerned. I am. So, because I'm concerned that when it comes to if it ends up in just the county, I'm concerned about the looseness of the land use restrictions.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you did point out that really there are no utilities that serve that island. So it is a well and septic enclave. It really is the only part of the island of Longboat Key that is without water and sewer service. And so any increased density would raise concerns.
And I think that's, I hate to say a tool, but I think that's a concern for the property owner for any future commercial use would be their lack of sewer, their lack of potable water, the fact that they're on well and septic. I don't know that the county would be eager or even willing to run sewer and septic to the island. What's that? Yeah, the expense would be exorbitant. There is a concern that, there could be enough money to be made that it's worth the juice is worth the squeeze, and they may want to do it at their own expense. We would have trouble saying no at that point. So just some food for thought.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple of other interesting facts on this. So I think there are 5 or 6 homes that are built on the island now. I understand there are 21 possible buildable lots. So that's sort of the extent of it. 26? Okay. Yeah, I had thought there were 21. We're working out the details on that, but it's something like 3 or 4 times as many as are currently built on. The distance, and you know this as a boater, but we're about 150, maybe 200 yards off the village. The island is from our village, and it's closer to a mile from between Jewfish Key and the closest bit of Manatee County. The other interesting twist on this is, unlike, not that de-annexation is a normal process, but when it occurs, as it's been going on in Welland Park down in South Sarasota County, if it is successful, if the county, the town would agree to let it go, or if the people who want to go prevail in court in a subsequent court action, then the line would change. So if you had a border between Welland Park and Sarasota, and they wanted to move into the county, the line would just switch to the other side of Welland Park. In the case of Jewfish Key, it's different because the property line of the town line runs in the water around Jewfish Key. So in a sense, if they were to be able to de-annex, they would exist as basically a donut hole that would then be part of the county, as opposed to an absolutely adjacent, abutting piece of the county, which raises its own issues. So, but anyway,
I hope
onward
that,
and upward.
Well, I honestly feel like the true Jewfish Key Preservation Association is probably the folks in this room, and I hope that you all will retain Jewfish Key in the the town of Longboat Key.
That's it. That's it. Mr. Tipton, anything else regarding
Sir, I just,
annexation or anything?
that was the last item on the agenda. I was raised in a family that starts each day with gratitude and ends each day with gratitude. And so we say again, thank you to our Manatee County partners and collaborators, and we appreciate what you do for us and look forward to the future.
Thank you, sir. Right now, what I'd like to do is if there's any citizens' comment regarding any...
Could I bring up some new business, sir?
Yes, sir, go
on
ahead.
the agenda. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chair. County staff emailed to Howard, and hopefully he disseminated that to the town council, like a, 30-minute maybe presentation that we had on a new drone system that the county is doing no pun intended, a pilot project. We're doing it out in Lakewood Ranch at the moment. Combination of response time / number of calls, volume of calls out there. It's a great spot for the pilot program. I really am pushing hard for the next one because I'm sure it's going to be successful and well received. I'm really pushing hard for the next one to be based out on the Barrier Islands, primarily because of response time. I'm hoping for 2, really sort of south end, like if we could base one possibly on the roof, because we have flooding concerns. So if we could put the hangar on the roof of our public safety building at Coquina, which would make it, of course, accessible to, well, Jewfish for one, beer can, and then obviously the north end of your island, which is, sort of the longer reach for your EMS service. And then, of course, we would work on coverage for Anna Maria as well, potentially putting a hangar either on top of the fire station down by City Hall or possibly on top of a future parking garage. So I'm looking for, so hopefully you all watch the presentation and you're well versed on it. And then when the time comes, the right time comes, I'm hoping to have the town's support for that. West Manatee Fire is fully supportive. So I'm just hoping to have your support for it.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner Turner.
Yeah, what I didn't know was we're actually the first of the kind in the whole nation. So the young man that owns the company has actually cleared all of the FAA regulations, which has taken him the better part of 3 years. So to Kevin's point, we should be able to move this a whole lot faster moving forward. So we're looking forward to it. And we'll keep you apprised on how successful it is.
Thank you. No, we're looking forward to the results of the pilot and look forward to participating.
County Administrator?
Yeah, new topic, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ready to move on? Two updates. The board's given a lot of effort for the median beautification projects. We just started the 2 medians at Coquina that lead into Longboat Key. They were scraped today, so you'll start seeing some beautiful vegetation going in those 2 medians soon. Also, to give the commission an update, there was a donut hole between Manatee Avenue and the Causeway with the city of Bradenton with regards to the city of Bradenton. We successfully negotiated an FTE, which now allows Manatee County to maintain the Palmasola Causeway. And so you're going to start seeing beautification of that area also.
That's great news. Thank you, County Administrator. One quick matter I have is there is what we'd like to do, and I don't think this requires action, and I can sign on behalf of the board, just a letter of support for Longboat Key's force main funding request. As you know, they have their main sewer line runs under Sarasota Bay and they need to be replaced. So what they'd like to do is just ask our support in any funding matters to, if they send it out to the feds or to anybody else that we would agree to, they need support in this. So as we stand with our friends from town of Longboat, we would ask that, that we would support any funding that they get from wherever for the build their new force main, which is what, 50, 60 years old? So I don't think it's anything that we're funding, but if they got to go to Vern or whoever their, I think it's Vern.
Actually, we have both.
Yeah, but you do have Stube, yeah. So, and to the state, so we would support their funding, being able to then get funding for this new force main. So I don't think it requires action of the board or anything like that, so. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Yes,
when you're finished, just.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I had another question about the drones. Are those manned drones or are those unmanned? Just for
Not only are they not
observation?
manned, they're not physically piloted. So it's artificial intelligence driven entirely. And they're working on some technology that hopefully would allow it to, because it goes to the cell phone of the caller. If it reaches a rooftop, then it would go to the driveway or the mailbox, and it would drop the device there. Defibrillators, Narcan, basic first aid, tourniquets, that kind of thing. And they're working on the ability for it to be able to actually go out into the Gulf or into the bay and to drop to a boat, to a caller there as well.
And if I could add, another thing about this is that it does not slow response. It's on, I'm just not close enough to it. It doesn't slow response time. So this is kind of an intermediate thing that the drone would come, drop supplies, EMS would stay on the phone with you, and they would still be responding just as quickly. This is just a kind of in the meantime until they could get there kind of thing.
Great.
Yeah, so how it works is the 911 call, because I was there for the first test. He was out in the field, he made the 911 call, you see it get dispatched, and then it was a triangulation. So it was a test, how fast does it get dispatched, which is really quickly, and then how close to the target is it. So this is an open field, and it was within 8 feet.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
the technology is unbelievable.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have any EMS service on Anna Maria Island? And I should know this, but I don't. But so there is fire and EMS
We
located on
cover
the
our,
island as well?
Vantage County EMS covers everything except Longboat Key.
No, but I mean, is there a physical presence?
There is, so we have one stationed right near Holmes Beach City Hall at the firehouse there, and we added a 12-hour rig, that's 7A to 7P, that's based at Coquina at the,
Got it.
at the
Oh,
public safety
the
building.
Coast Guard station?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Well, not the Coast Guard, but our lifeguard, public safety station at Coquina.
Thanks.
All right, anything else? What I'd like to do is open up for public comment. Yes, ma'am. Could you please state your name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. Yep, put it right there.
Thank you. Maureen Merrigan, and I live on the north end of Longboat Key. I co-chair a large community group there. So we have, it's called Longboat Key North. We have 28 homeowners and condo associations. About 1,000 residents are a part of it. They're all Manatee County residents. And as you can imagine, with the north end of Longboat Key, we've got a lot of smart people, successful people, a lot of retired people. So how they like to get involved, and so it's really important that the community is involved with the government. A lot of places, the community doesn't want to be involved with government. And I just wanted to thank this group here because we've invited a number of commissioners from Longboat Key on our calls. They've been on them. We've had Commissioner Van Ostenbridge on our calls. We've had Manatee County at large commissioners on our calls, so to really hear our issues. So first, thank you for that. Couple of things that you all commented on that are just really important to the residents of Manatee County that I wanted to express. One is the Broadway Gulf of Mexico Drive intersection that you all discussed. Certainly the county was instrumental in helping us move that forward, and it's a very visible intersection. We have a lot of safety concerns there. So we wanted to thank the county in particular for the early commitments, and we would certainly ask that the county demonstrate their continued commitment to get this done. So thank you very much for that. The second, that the county, again, was instrumental in really getting off the ground is the Learning Center that you all discussed. There's a lot of excitement in the community for that. We have a lot of condos and homeowners associations on the north end without big clubhouses, so it allows for meeting facilities. It allows us to bring the arts back on the key. And the community has been very involved with Simona, the project leader. So the folks that are involved in the county that are doing the build out have been great, involving the community with that. And also the school district has been really very instrumental in working with the community. So we want to thank you for that involvement. The only thing that we heard that, or at least that I heard, was a little different was the second quarter opening. We were, I think, it had been communicated that we would actually open that in time for next year's season. So we really are missing 50% of our residents when it gets pushed off to 2Q. So anything we can do to either do a softer opening earlier or continue to expedite that would certainly be appreciated because we're missing an opportunity there. With the water taxi, I think the comments on a workforce ferry, we would all echo. That's a need for our community and our workers. And the serious look at transportation that everyone expressed here, we would also reinforce in a very big way. I know you're looking at ways to reduce volume, but the reality is that Coquina Beach is beautiful, as is Cortez Beach, and all of those parking spots will be full no matter how many water taxis you put out there. And the one thing we would ask that the county really look at, because the county really manages Coquina, is not only how they manage the exits, but the number of exits. Because when you have multiple exits open, it slows the back of the line. So for example, if one car goes forward from Longboat Key, and as Commissioner Haycock mentioned, the people that are traveling at 3 o'clock on a weekday are workers that live in Bradenton, that are trying to get back to their families. They're tradespeople. They're folks that work in our restaurants, work at the town hall. And when they're coming back, if one car merges from the beach with one car that's a worker, it's a 50-50 mix. But if
Ma'am, your 3 minutes are up, so I'll give you just a couple more seconds.
Thank you. And the last point is, if there's multiple exits, the reality is 75 cars move off the beach when there's 5 exits into GMD for every 5 cars that move off of Longboat Key, those workers. So when your traffic engineers look at it, I'd ask you to not only look at volume, but look at equity or fairness of workers coming off with tourists and beachgoers. Thank you again for everything, and thank you for all you do for our community.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to give public comment? All right. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Other than that, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.